So some of you will know that we used to be the pastor couple for 25 years, and we're still alive. So, it's nice to see some new faces, and some of you haven't been here for a while. And Lenka and family, how long did it take you to get here? 2 hours?
More, because it's diversion of
Oh,
close highway.
So well done, thank you very much for coming. And nice to have some youthful blood. Victor and Benedicta and Earle and our musicians. Most communities and faiths, in our experience, in interfaith, are dealing with legacy and inheritance and continuity, and it's not always easy, especially in today's world, to have that. So it's nice to see a balance of youth and age here together. But Tom always says it's the young at heart, right? That's what matters, being young at heart. Just gonna click that. So, my topic then, Bogdan asked me to share a few words. My topic, thing that came to me within quite quickly, was sincerity of devotion. And one of the main triggers for that is our experience of the last 3 weeks, visiting our Muslim friends, Sophia. Nice to see you here.
Thank you.
And to see the sincerity of devotion amongst our Muslim brothers and sisters, quite incredible. I don't know how many of you could do that if you're not Muslim. If you could fast from sunrise to sunset, no food, no water. It's not simple, not a simple thing. Especially in the beginning, including Adam and Bellamira. So we take a little card, Ramadan card, and then a small bag of goodies to help break the fast. I don't know if you got one of these, Sophia, did you?
Yeah.
But we often come back from visiting our Muslim friends with far more than we went and took with us. And that happened yesterday. Even one lady yesterday gave us so much food. Main course, dessert, drinks, you name it, she gave it. And we spread it out on the table. It was like a feast. We brought a feast back with us. And it's so moving to see that sincerity of devotion. But wherever it is, my main point today is that if we recognize and acknowledge the sincerity of people's devotion, we're far more likely to build friendship and win trust, and then be able to work together. And this is a big part for me of the holy community, the whole concept of a holy community, whereby we genuinely respect one another's devotion and values and so on. And then we're able to really genuinely identify with each other and encourage one another in what we're doing, and then come up together, all together. Not expecting you to come here or me to go there, or converting you to this, but actually rising up together as one family. And the bottom line is that we feel one family of humanity. We feel the heart of the other person, and especially that this could be my child, this could be my mum, this could be my granddad, this could be my brother, this could be my sister, rather than what first happens if you see somebody who's covered. You maybe think Muslim rather than sister, mother. This could be my friend, the human quality. So I'm just going to share very briefly 3 stories in relation to this. One story from the coconut plantations of Kerala. Could all of you point on a map to where Kerala is? Tom could. Adam, yeah. Patricia, maybe. You know where India comes to a point at the bottom, just above Sri Lanka, that kind of triangle, to the very bottom state of India. So one story from the coconut plantations of India, one story from Geneva Airport, and one story from Aldi in Salio, to illustrate my point today. Sincerity of devotion. Can you all hear okay at the back? It's all right? The speaker's clear. And it's in a way to do with practicing what we preach. We have certain values and our faith and so on, but we practice what we preach. So devotion can be this way, devotion towards the divine, towards God, Allah, the Almighty, but then devotion in terms of how we connect to and live for the sake of one another. If you remember the last quotation from the Christian tradition, first and foremost, love God, and then love your neighbour as yourself. Right? This devotion and that devotion. So acts of grace, acts of kindness are, in a sense, devotion, reflecting that link that we have with the divine. And ideally, people can feel something of the divine, even in very simple acts of kindness. It could be a kind word, it could be a smile, and I'll just refer to that in my third example. But the first little story is from Kerala in 1995. Anybody been to Kerala? No? Anybody been to India? No, not yet.
Not yet.
You have to go. I went maybe 13, 14 times. And every time you go, you learn something new because it's so vast. The project we were doing in Kerala was right out in the coconut plantations. And one young guy had come from the Punjab. It had taken him 2 days. He's from India, but it took him 2 days to get from the Punjab by train all the way down to Kerala. I've got a picture here, I'll show you. Now, this is what we were doing. There was about 200 of us, most of them students, young people, a lot from Gandhi University. But some had come, it was an ROAS project, Religious Youth Service project, so some had come from Japan, America, and all we were doing was widening a road. For some reason in India, they built a lot of roads just wide enough for 1.5 vehicles. So when you came towards another vehicle, you have to swerve off the road and come back onto the road. I don't know why it is like that, but in this village, it was about a 1 kilometre road, and we were widening it to make it wide enough for 2 vehicles to pass. So we had the local residents had donated the land, so we were breaking down walls. So for example, one of the things we were doing, this gentleman here was teaching us how to look out for snakes and what to do if you found one. It's quite good advice. We did find some actually hidden in the cracks in the walls. It was about 35 degrees, humid, quite warm, and it was Ramadan. It was during Ramadan. So the couple, we always try to have an older couple present who were like parents for all the young people to bring a bit of stability or to answer their questions and queries. So the couple who were with us had come from Dhaka University in Bangladesh, Dr. Kazi Nurul Islam and his wife. So it was Ramadan, and of course they were fasting. So every day they were out on the road with the young people. Even though they were fasting, couldn't drink water. But they provided such an incredible model, such a beautiful example of this parental heart. And then at the end of Ramadan, normally you go to your family, right? And you celebrate Eid with your family. But they stayed. They didn't go back to Bangladesh. And we had this wild, incredible celebration at the end of Ramadan. I can't remember exactly which month it was in 1995, but 30 years ago this was. So that was my first experience of an ROIS project, but also my first direct experience of Muslim brothers and sisters. I was so moved by this couple, this elderly couple, just amazing. And all the young people also, most of them, probably the majority, were Hindu. I don't know if you know the tensions between Hinduism and Islam, particularly now with the current administration in India and Prime Minister Modi. A lot of tension, but also tensions between Hindu and Christian and Muslim. A lot of tensions in India, but particularly between Hinduism and Islam. It's a very historical thing. So for these young people to see that example of this elderly couple observing Ramadan and then celebrating together was just amazing. Transforming, you could say. And so I was very moved and very inspired by that. That's that sincerity of their devotion and their commitment to the young people. I can just remember one experience I had where when I arrived at the airport in Kerala, and I had to get by taxi from the airport right out. It was about a 2-hour drive right out into the wilderness, into these coconut plantations. And we set off, and after about 10 minutes, suddenly the traffic just stopped, and we weren't moving for about half an hour. And then slowly we moved, and then I realised as we gradually went on, we were held up by an elephant. So traffic jams can be caused by elephants. But anyway, that's India. So I hope one day you can all have that taste of course you don't need to go, you can go to the Gurdwara on the Soho Road or whatever, but it's to actually go to India and touch and taste and feel the reality there is quite incredible. So I came back with that kind of fire in my belly of the RYS project, having seen what impact it could have, especially on young people. And then that inspired me then to do the projects we did here in Birmingham and the Midlands over the next few years. That's one experience, how the sincerity can really move people's hearts. The second experience relates to our second reading, where we uphold our values and live up to our values and practice what we preach. So our true mother, a mother of peace, as it says on her autobiography, then would always give, would always try to give, and sometimes just try to give everything. So Tom mentioned when Mother Han was here in Birmingham. Anybody was here when she spoke in Birmingham? About 8 or 9. If I can find the pictures. Remember what year it was, anybody?
2000.
2000. What month?
May.
May, very good, 10 points. And the Consul General of India and his wife were there. And I'm not sure if I can see any of you on this picture, but so as Tom mentioned, then we went the following morning after her talk, went to the hotel room, and immediately Teresa was with us, and she gave this beautiful yellow jacket. You remember, Teresa? Always giving. So that was the reading, always giving. So that's my second little story then. We didn't have too many direct experiences with her, Mother Han. But in this case, some of you heard this story before, but I never tire of telling this story. So we were scheduled to travel to Vienna, where she was going to speak in Vienna. And we booked our tickets early so that we could get a good price, flying from Heathrow to Vienna on the Saturday morning and then back on the Sunday night, just a quick round trip. But then we heard just a week before the actual event that there was going to be more things on the Monday morning, celebration and speech and everything for our brothers and sisters. So Patricia said, well, we need to change our ticket. But by that time, of course, the prices were pretty high. But then we managed to find an indirect flight from Heathrow to Geneva to Vienna. So we booked that about 3 days before we were due to fly. Relatively, a bit more expensive, but not too bad. Got on the plane in Heathrow, flew to Geneva. We had a very short transfer time, like 50 minutes. And we raced across the airport, but the flight was delayed, fortunately. And so we went and got a cup of coffee, sat down, and then I looked and I saw somebody about 20, 30 metres away. I thought, that looks like Insup. Anybody know Insup? Sun Jinim's husband, Insup? I thought, no, it can't be him, wouldn't be here. And then I just kind of dismissed it. And the time came to go down to the for the flight. Went down to the reception area, and then we were just walking towards the desk, and suddenly I looked and I saw Insup and Sunjanim and Yonanim and then Drumother just sitting there like this in the midst of everybody. And I had to kind of look twice. Can't be true, it can't be real. And I said to Patricia, don't look now, but Drumother's just sitting over there. She didn't want to kind of make a fuss. So we went and sat down, and then the time came to go to the airplane, and we had to get a bus. So I thought, anyway, they'll be getting a taxi or a car or something. So we got in line. They just came in the queue behind us. Went through the check-in, and I was just waiting there, and then waiting for Patricia to come through, and then I just turned, and suddenly Drumother was standing right there next to me, and I blurted something out very quickly, oh, I'm so happy to see you, and welcome to Europe, I hope you have a wonderful experience. I didn't introduce myself or anything. And then we got on the bus, and then they all just got on the bus and we sat in a circle next to one another. Can you imagine? But the story is then what happened next. So we were sitting there, sitting opposite Yonanim, and then suddenly Sunjanim came over and gave us this huge bag. And it was all the snacks, all the chocolates, everything that they were taking on the plane. So it's exactly that, just giving everything. So that was our kind of direct experience. So you can read it in the autobiography, you can hear about it in the story, you can read it, but actually when it happens, it has an impact. It has an incredible impact. Again, practicing what we preach, living up to our values and what we hold dear. Amazing. And then my final little story is again the kind of living for the sake of others, this point. And it was a kind of nothing story in a way, but it really moved my heart. It was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, just before we had this meeting that Patricia shared with you. And I was in a hurry to quickly, we've forgotten to buy certain things, some milk and a couple of things for the evening program. So I rushed down to Aldi's, just down on the Bristol Road, and quickly grabbed a few things, and then all the self-checkouts were closed. So I started to feel a little bit frustrated. I had to join the queue, join one particular queue, and there was an elderly lady, and then a younger woman, a mother, and then myself in the queue. They got all their stuff on the conveyor belt. And often when I share the principle, I often share this point about, as I mentioned earlier, our first feeling towards one another should be, this could be my sister, this could be my grandma, this could be my brother, this could be my child. So there was this elderly lady at the front of the queue where I was, and she was kind of fiddling around with her purse and trying to get her money, and I was trying to convince myself, look, this could be your grandma, this could be your grandma. Who's holding you up in the queue? Practice what you preach, practice what you preach. But what happened was, she went through the checkout, and she was putting everything into her trolley, and then in Aldi's, they're quite quick, so they were already checking through the next lady in front of me. And then after 3 or 4 things had gone through, there was this bag of sweets, and this young lady said, those aren't mine. And so they belonged to this elderly lady, and they'd fallen back into the younger lady's things on the conveyor, on the belt. And so the lady said, the cashier's assistant said to the elder lady, are these yours? She said, oh yes, they're mine. So the younger lady said, oh, don't worry, I'll pay for them. Oh. And she said, no. Then she started arguing with her. The elder lady started arguing. She said, no, I want to pay for them. Don't worry. And in the end, she said, "Oh, that's so nice." And so it was exactly that point that the younger person paid for the elderly lady as if she was her mum or her grandma. And the elderly lady was so moved, the young lady was really happy, and the cashier was so inspired. So it's just a small act of devotion, a small act of kindness, but it had a real impact on them and on me. I was so moved to see what I share sometimes being put into practice. Very moving. So that's the moral of the story, really, just a few things I wanted to share. That often it's little acts of kindness, but when we do it with sincerity, it doesn't matter who it is. Nobody has a monopoly on devotion. It can be in a mosque, in a church, in a home. If you invite somebody into your home, if you go and visit one of your neighbours, these little acts of kindness and devotion are so meaningful and gives God the power to work through you, through us, and touch the lives of people, sometimes in an extraordinary way. You never know what impact it will have or where it will lead. So let's not have a superiority complex. You've heard of an inferiority complex? Let's not have a superiority complex that we have, the monopoly on devotion, or we know everything, or we've got it all sorted out. Actually, we can recognize devotion and sincerity wherever it's practiced, even in Aldi's, right? And then our life becomes very meaningful on a day-to-day basis. Even in these little acts. So it could be something you say, something you do, a smile to your neighbour when you're walking on the street, anything. Let's try and practice that and share that sincerity of our heart with one another. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.